Now Ms. McIntyre stated that she is pregnant, and that's why the court was willing to lift the no contact order. So, we are agreeing to it.
Would that be an M2,
Yes.
which has the possibility of 90 days in jail and up to a $750 fine, correct? All right. Prior to entering a plea, counsel, is there anything you would like to put on the record, or would you like to wait post plea?
I'll wait to, I would ask to speak in mitigation.
Okay, so Mr. Smith, let me just be clear on a couple things for us. So it looks like basically the city is saying they're in in effort to get it resolved today. They're willing to reduce this to one, or is it two M2s, or is it one?
It's one and a dismissal
Okay.
of the unlawful restraint.
So dismissal of the unlawful restraint, reduce the first one to an M2, but keep in mind what happens with that is, again, you're up to possibility of 90 days in jail, 90 days in jail and a $750 fine. And even beyond that, with the M2, there is still the possibility of probation, which would include the men's empowerment program that we have with Dr. Williams, as well as anything involving a batterers or domestic violence program. So what I want you to be aware of is that the plea would take away one of the charges, reduce the other, so effectively it's reducing the jail time and it's keeping the domestic violence off your record. But there is the possibility of 90 days in jail, a $750 fine, and probation is the, and let me just be clear too, just so that there's no mystery. Normally with these situations, you're definitely looking at the probation with those programs that I said, right? The 90 days in jail is often stayed, right? You may not have to do jail time. You may have to do jail time. But I want you to be very clear on the fact that if you're placed on probation, even with these reduced charges, if you violate probation, that is a jailable offense. You understand that? I do acknowledge that early on in this process, you did spend 6 days in jail. So that's where we are. With all that being said, are you ready to enter a plea to the amended charge of an M2 attempted disorderly conduct? All right. So for the record, how do you plead to that charge? Guilty. Counsel, on behalf of Mr. Smith.
Your Honor, I had the opportunity to go over the discovery with them, go over the facts as alleged by the city, statements made by people that were there. It's my understanding from the city and from my client that the victim and my client intend on working on their relationship, maintaining their relationship. I understand that the victim is pregnant. My client desires to rebuild that relationship, move forward. I believe he's currently in the process of obtaining new employment. He knows he's got a lot of work and repair before him, and I do believe he also wants to address the court, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Smith, go ahead. You want to address the court? Go ahead.
Apologize for, being, if you thought I was being disrespectful or thought I was trying to be funny or, from last time, and I was just going through a lot of stuff right now, me and my girlfriend, and we just trying to get ourselves together, so,
Okay.
that's it. I apologize.
All right. Are you working currently?
Not currently, but trying.
All right.
I got interviews, I got a lot of stuff going on, so, yeah.
All
I
right.
got an interview actually tomorrow, at 1:30. So making like 16, 15 an hour.
Okay. All right, let me give me 1 second. What day we have a report to probation? Man, this is interesting. June 9th at 1 o'clock. All right, so 9 o'clock. All right, so Mr. Smith.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I think he needs to be placed with Officer Medley.
June 9th, okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
So, Mr. Smith, this is what I'm going to do. First of all, I accept your apology, and first, I think it's important, and then I believe at 28 years old, you realize that that is the right thing to do. And what I mean by that is, even if you don't mean it, that's the right thing to do. You know what I'm saying? Because you stand in front of a judge that could give you 90 days in jail. And me and you did. We had a major little falling out. I didn't like the way it ended. I didn't like the way you approached me, how it made me feel, and probably you didn't like how I made you feel. So I'm glad that you were man enough to do that. And I will say this: counsel made a remark earlier today, off the record, but he knows this to be true. As you stand here today, I was not going to hold that against you, because that's what I'm supposed to do by the oath that I hold. I'm not supposed to bring in any other emotions and things like that, and I wasn't. So I'm glad that we were able to get to that point. And what I will say that did for you is, one, on this sentence, it'll be 90 days in jail, but based on you apologizing, I'm going to suspend those jail time. But my first thought was, no matter what, I was going to send you to jail because I didn't think you took this seriously. But here's another thing. I have to realize that people handle things differently. Issues, like you said, challenges, grief, all these things are handled differently. And just because you've stood before me and sometimes you were smiling and maybe even laughing, I don't know you well enough to know what that means about this case. You know what I'm saying? I can't say that Mr. Smith doesn't take this seriously, that he is disrespecting me. Maybe there's some things going on, like you said, that's how you're presenting it today, but that may not be what's going on in the inside. And then plus, the two of you are trying to reconcile. You know, at the last hearing, she even stood up and, and spoke out and said, Judge, we're trying to do X, Y, and Z. So in your mind as a couple, you're probably thinking, hey, Judge, this is no big deal. We're trying to get this together. But you got to realize it is a big deal. And I think that's why I was frustrated last time. I wanted you to understand that whenever there's an allegation that you put your hands on her or you put your hands on him, that gets serious and we get involved. And even though you two make it right and may reconcile, that doesn't take away the case. And I think that was the biggest misunderstanding that we had. So I'm suspending the jail time, put you on probation so you can work with our men's program, MEG, a batter's program, if we have that still going, Mr. Medley. And the last thing I'm going to do for you, Mr. Smith, your fine is $500. But my main thing is that you make it through this program in flying colors. Don't violate probation. Take it seriously. Do everything we're asking you to do. And because you're not working right now, if you do everything else I'm asking you to do, I may vacate the fines, because it's not about money for me. It's about you two being healthy and productive, especially because you got a baby on the way, right?
We just had her a couple of months ago.
You just had your baby 2 months ago. That's more important to me. Why would I, with any good conscience, take money out of your child's mouth? You know what I'm saying? That's not my big deal, but I want you both to learn how to operate and be in a relationship so that the baby is not being affected by domestic violence, right? You're not pregnant right now?
We just had her.
Just had it, okay. Would you have, boy or girl?
A girl.
Okay. Is this your first child, young lady?
Yes.
All right. So I say it all the time. These children, these kids, I'm telling you, as soon as they're out the stomach, and even while they're in your belly, they know what's going on. They can hear the tension. They can hear the argument. They can feel the stress. And even now, it's important that you learn how to communicate so that the babies are not affected. The babies are not affected by that. So that's my main goal. So do everything I'm asking you to do. That way you get 2 rewards. 1, you don't go to jail. And 2, I may reconsider if you have not gotten a job, but I know you're going to get a job because you seem to be a very responsible young man. You apologize. You know you got to take care of your baby. I'll still figure out what I'm going to do for you in regard to your fines and costs, but that's later on, all right? Make it through probation. Do well with probation, and we'll address everything else later.
That 1 year, Your Honor?
1 year. June 9th at 9 o'clock is when you're going to meet with Mr. Medley,
I'm sorry, Your Honor. Make that 10. I have a 9.
10 a.m.
I got a question. I don't have to be present. Wow.
You do not, correct, Miss? Because you're working with Miss
No, she's not.
Johnson.
Supposed to be, but she wasn't. She wasn't.
I thought you were going to be working with Miss Johnson.
I started a new appointment too. I'm still in my 9-day probation period, and this like my 4th time telling them I couldn't come to work
Okay.
today. So my job is really on the line.
I understand. Well, as soon as you get that stable, I mean, we're going to be working with him for a year, but the reason we do that is because if Mr. Smith turns into a great father, a great man, we want you to be on that same level with new skills that he's going to have. So it's important that you do connect with Miss Johnson as soon as you can, all right? Miss
I have
Ivory?
a question for clarity as far as the fines are concerned. Does that mean he does not have to make any payment on this fine
So-
up until then?
Nope. So let me put this too. I'm glad you mentioned that. So I'm gonna put here, I have number 1, 90 days in jail, suspended jail time. Number 2, 1 year probation. Number 3, MEG 4 batter's program. 5 is your fine of $500. 6 is get employed. So right now he doesn't have a job. So he doesn't have to make payments on the fine because he don't have a job. But I want you to get a job. That's important because you have a baby to take care of. And then we'll address the fine stuff as he goes. So my main goal right now, Miss Ivory and Mr. Medley, is that he starts these classes with Mr. Dr. Williams. He starts to get these skills on how to communicate so the two of you don't end up in front of me or any other court with any other issues. And then we'll address the fine. So let's put it off as an issue right now. Maybe we bring it up on the status as we see how he's going, all right? Any questions, Mr. Smith? All right, anything from the city?
No.
Ms. Johnson? Okay. Mr. Humphrey? Anything?
Thank you.
All right, so you'll step down and see Mr. Medley. All right. Okay, one last case we're gonna put on the record, 18 CRB 00340, the city of East Cleveland versus LaShawn McKinney. How are we proceeding?
Yes, Your Honor, this is a 2018 case. The gentleman that was charged actually went to prison right after that for a case he had in Lake County. I spoke to Detective Lundy about what he wanted to do going forward with this, and based on that and the fact that he had forfeited over $2,000 in connection with everything that went on, he was okay with dismissing the case.
All right, case will be dismissed. Thank you, everyone. So, Ms. Johnson, as soon as we're just with the professionals, we can talk freely. All right, everyone, great job. Thank you for your work this afternoon.
I do have a question, Your Honor.
Yes.
Was he supposed to do the battery and MEG, or that's the same thing?
I believe they're two separate.
There's an MEG 1 and 2.
I'm sorry?
There's an MEG 1 and 2.
So that's what it is then, okay.
So
Yeah.
it's both?
Yeah, both.
Okay, thank you.
I didn't realize that was on.
Just want to give you this from the gentleman. See, you did a special EC's
Oh, okay, cool.
program.
Oh, this is what you keep?
I
This
got
is
that for
nice.
you. He's
Oh, thank
sent
you.
that for you. And Mom, I was going to give this to you.
So this is the scram information. All right.
The judge has an extra page there that you don't have.
So, Mr. Humphrey, you on your way out?
But that's just an
Look,
overall.
you looking like the woman in the club holding her purse, ready to go. He has his briefcase on his shoulder like, Judge, I'm on my way out of here. I understand. Hey, you got stuff to do. I appreciate your service today.
I'd like to thank you.
Officer, thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
I'd like to thank you took the time to put together the EC.
That's right. That is nice.
I guess he said if Muhammad won't come to the mountain,
You'll come here.
he'll come here.
All right. Because basically they want more business. Well, I mean, they should have the business anyway because the Ohio Revised Code requires it.
It's the only one, I know in Northeast Ohio, that you can get the GPS.
Okay. So they're making all the money. In other words.
Judge, I apologize if you go out there and there's a window tint ticket on your car.
Oh, yeah.
Did you put it out
go
there?
to- Who was that, anyway?
Young black officer, probably mid-20s.
What happened?
Tall, short?
You got your tip?
Medium build,
It was cold.
baseball hat.
Tall.
What happened?
Anyway,
Young black officer, probably mid-20s.
What happened?
tall, short?
You got your tip?
Medium build,
It was cold.
baseball hat.
Tall.
What happened? They gave him a tip?
Love boxing. You didn't have probable cause to pull me over. He's like, I need you to roll your windows up. I'm like, sir, I'm not gonna roll my windows up. If you need to give me a ticket, give me a ticket. And he looked at me, he's like, but I need to put the meter on your window. I'm like, sir, I'm not rolling my windows up. If you wanna give me a ticket, you can give me a ticket. And he's like, well, I'm like, look.
He's a work in progress.
But look,
I'm like, well, I told him, I'm like, look,
He's a work
I
in
work in East
progress.
Cleveland a couple days a month. I'll be out here this afternoon. If you would like to find me in the parking lot behind the building, you can ticket me, the mayor, the judge, and every other car in the parking
oh, he
lot.
threw us all under the bus.
I'm like the whole police department. I'm like, if you're doling out tickets to everybody back there, and he just looks at me, takes 2 steps back, doesn't say a word, gets in his car, and just does a U-turn.
Ah, so there you go. The gift of the gab from the defense attorney just
Well,
talked down a police officer.
Your Honor, we had a miracle today.
What was that?
Miss McIntyre managed to have a baby in 3 months. No, matter of fact, in months.
So what's the deal?
That's why I was wondering. She just had a girl.
She told
And he
us-
laughed when he looked
So
back
what's
there.
the-
I don't understand no
They
baby.
deserve each other.
So is
Go
she-
home and whoop her
was she
behind.
I don't
pregnant?
think she was. I think
No.
she made that up, and no one even comes.
So she probably doesn't have a baby right now.
Because it really didn't matter
So y'all
at the
saying
time.
that
She was
you're
just saying that was the reason she wanted to let everything go.
It didn't matter.
She said the reason.
Should have
No,
been a
I'm just
felony because
saying
it could have been a felony.
that was why she said she wanted to know
That's-
contact
That's why I
order lifted
figured
so she
Heather
could
was doing
talk
the
to
math
him.
for the pregnancy spec going, well, this should be a mandatory prison case.
Right. Yeah, you said they deserve each other.
They do. If she's willing to make up that gigantic lie,
And he trying to figure out what gender she gonna say. He looked back like,
Hey, stop talking. Stop talking.
and she was like, no, because that's why she asked for the no contact. That was in March.
she
But
just
some
got
of you
pregnant.
had
She
a
was
baby
2
2
months
months
ago.
ago.
She was 2 months in March when she came to court. That's what she said.
That's what I'm saying. So she had a baby in a month.
So Miss Ivy wants to know why did you reduce it?
What was the charge reduced then?
Why? Because she lied? No.
Exactly.
No, she wants to.
No,
But
the
we
lie
know she
came
lied
during
until right there.
And you couldn't
She never
change-
said that.
You couldn't
So-
change the offer?
So here's the deal.
Based on her lying?
Wait, look. So this is what I was saying. This is what I was saying on the way in. Hold on, look. I was thinking now, Zach. I know Heather's good. Zach is
Caught me off
good.
guard.
But the question was this: with the recanting witness, you know, the officer's testimony has to be very specific to get a conviction. So I was worried on my way in, like, man, are they going to wiggle their way into a not guilty? So I was telling Samara, without telling you, I always prefer a plea on a domestic violence so that we can get them on probation,
record, yeah.
get them the help they need, have jail time hanging. Well, it's not for me. It's not even that. It's about how do we get them to be a better person? Because if they can wiggle away with the not guilty, then I've lost totally.
Right.
Did you feel was there wiggle room on this?
Based off of the facts, I didn't watch the body cam, based off of the police report, I thought that if Heather artfully made an excited utterance with what the victim said, they might have had an unlawful restraint. The DV would have been
And
harder.
that's what I
The DV
said.
would have been what?
I said I had her
The
on.
DV, I don't think you would have found her.
That's the
It
problem.
And that
it
was
a-
my thing. I
it was a
figured at
yank on the
trial
shirt.
I had him on unlawful restraint. The DV was iffy. The DV
But
was always
but I mean, the goal of like so. For instance, the DV wouldn't have stuck, so he wouldn't have had a DV on his record. So now we move into
What's the overall goal?
how do we get them on probation?
Both of the
You would've
degrees
had
were
an
the same
M1
with the
then.
M1, so you was gonna get the
Yeah.
same thing on either one, whether you got the DV or not. You know what I mean? So it didn't make a difference.
Well,
he
Whether
was
it's the
nervous.
DV or not, you still would have
It was
had the
gonna
same
be
outcome.
From a
on either one.
defense perspective, if your best case scenario is an M1 lawful restraint, as a defense attorney, why would I walk my client in and plead to an M1? I'll make you prove it. I mean, I'll make you prove it because I got a fighter's chance of beating it. But I think the DV was tough because
The DV was
she never said he put his hands on me, and her best case was
She didn't even say it on the tape, Calvin?
he
No,
Oh,
she
no, on the
said
podcast.
she was kind of saying that she had been in a fight
Interesting.
too the day before or whatever. So I knew the DV was iffy. The most I had was unlawful restraint. That's why I needed BT in the body cam because she says that he prevented her from leaving. So I got unlawful restraint. DV was real iffy.
Interesting how
But
these things turn out.
initially I wasn't going balls to the wall with him because from the beginning she was waffling. Even before she came up with the pregnancy thing.
we're going balls to the walls.
Oh, well, she was bad from jump one. She gave us problems from day one.
Yeah, she was just sucking her
She was never
today.
she was never a good witness. They were violating the TPO.
And she was
Then she
going
wanted
to
to lift
lie.
it.
That's why I had to give the body
Violated
cam.
twice.
I didn't think.
Yeah.
Remember when you gave it to him the first time before he violated it here, then he goes over her house and busts in the door.
And at first she was, yeah, I want to do something.
Yeah.
And then she started backpedaling.
Then she came up with a plan, talking about she's pregnant and in 2 months she
Right.
had a baby.
Very
She was
interesting.
nervous up in here though. Tell that. She was just sucking her.
Well,
Hospital.
but I think so. Whether it was M1 or M2, I knew the DV. I was wondering. We had to have something. I wanted to have him on something so that we can work with him. So I was okay with that because I was never gonna not put him on probation, not have him with
Which is
Dr.
why I
Williams.
didn't go for the M4.
But I was worried that I forgot about the unlawful restraint. Only thing when I was driving in was DV, and I'm like, man, if they don't get the right testimony from the officer, it'll be a not guilty because I can't just
They're
do it
coming
because I
after
want to
the
do
fact.
it.
And all
See
they
that?
got is a caller saying he's beating her up.
Yeah.
So it was just blood on the door, which they were trying
And
to.
they're cleaning it up, so something happened.
It was a broken window.
There was a broken window, but I thought the broken window was from the second.
That was
I thought it was from the second
No,
time.
He told the officers he threw a
That was
beer,
from the front.
he threw a
Right.
beer bottle
They
out
had
the
a- they
window,
had a
and he was the one
story
with
for
cups on his
everything.
hands for
See-
picking the glass up.
They had a story.
Yeah, see that's what I'm saying. So if you know, I mean, if I had to call it down the line, right down the middle, truthfully, I didn't want to give him a not guilty, but I wouldn't play games with it and find him guilty just to get him on. So we had to get him.
Apology on the vice of counsel, cause I know he wasn't. Let's be clear. I know you told me that.
That's
I know you
attorney-client,
know you did.
that's attorney-client privilege.
Oh Lord, so he don't want to admit that. 'Cause that's why I said even if you didn't mean the apology, because
When you first asked him whether or not he was going to go,
Because he
it was
came
like he
every-
was gritting his teeth when he said
He
it.
came here every time with an attitude of being
Yeah.
towards
And now he
everybody.
says he's sorry.
Now he's sorry when he's facing these
Zach
people.
smart.
Oh, you.
Zach, you were smart to have him do that because you know Zach was smart. Zach was worried this morning because he's like, Judge, you already said on the record that you was going to give him jail time. Something he said. I forgot I said.